Hi.
We are.
Thank you for the most terrific sabbatical year. I just got back from all of my travels. And I'd like to follow up kind of this theme of streams of consciousness. Wherever I went, there was like a different stream of consciousness. Like in Greece, they're all excited about the Olympics. So there's rebuilding consciousness. In Switzerland, there's a I can consciousness. Like, we can do this. In England, there's we're powerful consciousness. I mean, I was very aware of these streams. And I was
Jerry and Esther can feel it as they move from city to city to city to city to city. Yes. There are streams of consciousness, and when you're sensitive to energy, you can literally feel the fluctuation of the energy streams, just like if you were swimming through a swimming pool that had chutes of cold water and chutes of warm water coming in. You could feel the fluctuation in the water as you're moving through it.
Right.
It can be a very fun ride.
That's what I want to ask about, how to make it more fun. Because I've been traveling all year, and it became clearer and clearer and clearer everywhere I was. I'm very empathetic and psychic, and have been picking up on this. Like, I was in New York during the Iraq War, and like the harsh, shrill level of fear was like palpable in the air. But in the Alps, there's this sense of wonder of nature and pristine celebration of beauty. Then when I got back to San Francisco and California a few weeks ago, there's a vibration here which feels as if there's a level selling fear. And I guess my question is, I'm aware, I mean, I manage this apartment building, and I get back, and the first thing that hit me was like, the sky is falling, California, there's a recall election. I mean, there was all this stuff that I hadn't really been exposed to for a while. You know, there's like a tendency to want to be negative, and like, I'm Mr. Positive. So how, you said you don't have to let it come in your head, you know, when it's around. But when you know it's around, you don't want to be in denial. You want to stay positive. What's the best technique for being the Pollyanna and just not buying into that stream of consciousness when it's kind of there?
Well, we've been talking about it in bits and pieces all day here today. We were talking about how you develop passion for anything. And in that discussion, what we were really talking about is you deciding how you want to feel, and then you choosing thoughts that cause you to feel that way, so that you're beating the drum and affecting a vibration within you that then equals your point of attraction. And you can get to the point where even as you're moving from place to place to place to place, where there are fluctuations in vibration, because of the consistency of your vibrational output, you begin to live a more consistent experience. So you say things like, there are nice people everywhere I go, or I'm having a good time everywhere I'm going, or doors are opening for me everywhere I go. When you say, I'm psychic, or I'm empathetic, we want to say to you that when you are empathetic of good feeling things, then your empathy or your vibrational point of attraction only reaches out to other things that are like the consistent vibration you're offering. And we really don't encourage being empathetic to all things. In other words, we don't encourage having empathy towards something that you don't want to live. We would encourage that, for example, if someone was really struggling with their physical health is visiting with you about what's happening in their life experience, we would not spend much time empathizing. We wouldn't say, and what did you do today? And what was it like? Give it to me detail by detail. In other words, we'd get a whiff of it, and from it we would conclude what their desire must be, and then we would fast forward in our mind to the expectation of them achieving what they are really wanting rather than what they are living, and we would empathize with what they want, not with where they are. And so we would encourage very selective sifting empathy. And so let's say that you've just visited a city and you've been there for a while, and let's say that you were in an experience where there was someone next door to you that because of your proximity to them and because of what you were hearing and physically exposed to, you got a strong dose of something. And even though you didn't want to hear it, you heard it. And you naturally are responding to it because you're alive, you are a perceiver, you have opinions about things, the conversation stimulates. And so even though you wouldn't have chosen it if you were really deliberately choosing it, you found some vibrational harmony with some of it, and you got some vibration going within you. Well, it's logical that even as you move from place to place to place to place to place, you would begin to see some of that. Mm-hmm. When you say, I'm a very positive person, we agree with that, and we would say that for the most part, you have access to those kinds of things. But we would also say, and you would describe yourself as a very thoughtful person. You would also describe yourself as someone who cares very much, as someone who's intellectual, who's someone who likes to debate issues, someone who likes to get into the nitty-gritty, someone who can hold your own in any conversation. In other words, we can see how you might be sort of empathetic on a lot of things because you've had a lot of experience and given a lot of thought to a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And in these times where world events are escalating and there is so much happening, we think that it is the time when more of you who have decided to be deliberate creators would do well to keep your own counsel and make your own decisions and think more about the things that are important to you. And the words that we like to offer most often and most emphatically are, do those things or think about those things that you can do something about. Mm-hmm. And there is so much about these world events that you're not in a place where you can do something about. You don't have the president's mm-hmm. ear. You're not going to take a sabbatical and go and try to get the president's ear. In other words, you're not going to do anything about any of that. But you certainly can do something about your own vibration, which means you can choose which thoughts you think, and you can mm-hmm. choose which vibration you induce, and you can therefore choose how you feel, and you can therefore choose your point of attraction, and therefore you can choose your points of empathy, which means you can choose what shows up in your experience city after city after city after city after city. Mm-hmm. A really easy city to be in is one where the majority of people think just like you do. Because there's just this nice wave where you can just sort of observe and listen around. A really uncomfortable city to be in is a city where most everybody thinks very different from you, because everywhere you go there are thoughts that are abounding that are aggravating within you a vibration that doesn't, in other words, oh, you're really going to like this, because everything you feel is about the vibrational variance within you. Esther had a really interesting experience when she went back to the town where she grew up and met with several people that she hadn't seen since high school graduation. It was a really strange mix of feeling. And she found herself feeling, apart from the death of her father and apart from all of the drama that surrounds that, she was finding herself uncomfortable in many of the thoughts that had been activated within her as she was remembering old times and old relationships and old places and old experiences. And as she was asking us what that was all about and why the upheaval was so strong, we said, because as you have lived a life and then you've moved from that into other thoughts and other experiences, your vibration has shifted and you have become a different person. Mm-hmm. And then when you transport yourself back, where there are many things that activate where you once were and who you once were, what happens is there is a vibrational contradiction that is going on within you. In other words, it just causes static in your own vibration. Mm-hmm. That's what that feeling of nostalgia is. It's trying to be something that you cannot be, because you can never, it's a law, you cannot go back to a former vibration. In other words, let us state that more accurately. You cannot become less than you have become vibrationally. Mm-hmm. Everything that you've experienced has brought you to this new pulsing place, and you cannot go back. And so what we're saying to you is that as you decide who you are and how you want to feel, regardless of who anyone else is and how they want to feel, now you're this steady beacon, not guiding others, but guiding you. And now the universe just brings to you confirming experiences that bolster the attraction that you've set into motion. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're sort of like a cork buffeted about on a raging sea, and it is not a very pleasant experience. Mm-hmm. And it speaks to the very basic concern that most people have about deliberate creation. And we like to explain it in this way. Most people are offering most of their vibration in response to something that they are observing. And that's what makes you want to control conditions. Because as you look out and you see something that you want, you feel good when you see it and you say, let's promote more of that. But when you look out and see something you don't want and you feel awful, your instinctual urge is, we've got to eradicate that. We've got to rid ourselves of that. We'll vote for this, but we'll vote against that. And we say, you will make yourselves crazy by trying to rid yourself of unwanted things. You finally have to accept that this is a universe based on inclusion, that there is no assertion anywhere, and that the vibration that you achieve will be your point of attraction, and that it's all right, whatever anybody else is creating, it doesn't have anything to do with you. And your point of attraction is something that you absolutely do have control about, and there is evidence everywhere to support that. And then others can become rather entertaining. In other words, it's entertaining to see their differences in the way they are living when you don't feel threatened by what they're living. When you understand that they are creating. And we know it's not easy to see, especially children, being negatively impacted by what adults are doing, for example. But we have to say to you that everyone is in vibrational charge of the way they feel. And when you try to superimpose how you think you would feel if you were standing there, that's usually a formula for getting yourself out of balance quickly.
Thank you. You went right into the last part of my question, because I'm getting ready to go back to school in 2 weeks after being off. And I finished my book. I finished a pilot for a TV show to go on the Discovery Channel. It manifested every single one of our intentions. So you can be with me in the classroom. I mean, let's work together again. And I'm just going to bring as much of this into the classroom as I possibly can. And thank you so much.
And watch for the evidence of our involvement in the offering that comes forth from the children, because your intentions have been set into motion, and there are many who are coming forth ready. In other words, co-creating at its best. This will be a remarkable year for you.
We know that, right. And the last thing I'd like to ask is, so this brings us into exactly the reason you're manifesting in our time-space reality right now, which is you're selling us on the idea of the truth of well-being being the 1,000 millionth dominant vibration really going on. And everything else is us waking up to that, right?
Well stated. The stream is that of well-being. And anyone who's experiencing other than that has found some way to temporarily resist it. But it is only a temporary resistance, because in the moment of physical transition, the resistance stops and the full well-being resumes.
This planet feels like Disneyland, and you're the well-being ride. So thank you very much. I love this journey we're on together. Thank you.
Indeed. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It has been co-creating at its best. We are anticipating with great relish what will unfold for you in the very immediate future, because we can feel a sort of renewed sense of well-being within most of you. We can feel that you are leaving behind your fretting about what's going wrong, and you're feeling more eagerness about just getting on with whatever is. Jerry and Esther have been playing a song in the motor coach someone sent to them. And the basic premise and lyrics of the song say again and again, tomorrow never comes. Everyone's waiting for tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. And Jerry and Esther have been toying with the idea that tomorrow never comes because today always is. In other words, your power is always in the now, and now never, ever, ever, ever goes away. You never are without your power, because you are never apart from the energy stream that is flowing to you, and you are never apart from your awareness of how you're doing with the stream. It is our powerful desire that you recognize the perfection of your lives. And we want so much for you to feel the appreciation for your moment now, your moment now, your moment now, your moment now, that we, from your non-physical perspective, feel. It is delicious to be with you on this leading edge of thought. So much satisfaction. And we are so appreciative of the role you play in taking thought beyond that which it has been before.